I'm Chris Burns, and welcome to The Network, where we connect into a matrix of newsmakers to get to the heart of an issue. And watch out, they've got to answer in 25 seconds or less, or else. Let's take a look at that issue right now. It's only the latest food-related crisis to shake European public confidence. After scandals over dioxin and other tainted meat, thousands are sickened by E. coli bacteria. Experts scramble to trace the origin, while fear and suspicion make shoppers wary, devastating many European farmers. As the danger subsides, the wider concerns about food safety and security won't go away. How will Europe deal with the next food scare? How to feed a growing world population without wrecking the planet or endangering people's health? Will GM crops enslave farmers to big agricultural concerns? Will cloning cause undue suffering among livestock? On the other hand, what are the risks of higher food prices if we don't hijack nature to boost production? Recent spikes in prices, driven in part by rising demand from emerging economies, have driven people power rebellions around the world. As global warming worsens, they may only be the beginning. Now, wired into this edition of the network is here from Brussels, here at the Brussels European Parliament, George Lyon, a British MEP who's been critical of the way the E. coli crisis has been handled. Also here in Brussels is Eric Poudelet, who's director of the Food Chain Safety Department at the European Commission's Directorate of Health and Consumer Affairs. And from Madrid, José Ángel Olivan, who's president of the Spanish Consumers Union, also critical of how authorities have dealt with the crisis. José Ángel, let's begin with you. There's a lot of anger in Spain because of this crisis. Whose fault is it that dozens of people have died from E. coli?
In reality, it's been a food and health crisis that's been very badly managed. Very poorly managed, because in the first place it's led to major economic losses among agricultural producers in Spain and other parts of Europe. But above all, it's raised doubts and insecurities with consumers about the protection mechanisms that exist in Europe. That is to say that the authorities have not moved with sufficient speed and firmness.
Okay, José Ángel. Thank you. Thank you, José Ángel. George, what's your take on this? It looks like José Ángel is accusing authorities of not acting fast enough.
Well, I think the German response was at best shambolic in the response to the initial outbreak. We need to know what caused it, what went wrong in the farms, why it was so slow to actually identify what went wrong, and we need to learn the lessons so that Europe can actually react faster next time this happens.
Okay, all right. Eric, let's go to you. How much of that responsibility do you take?
The responsibility lies essentially with the German authorities. It's true that there have been errors in communication, a lack of coordination, a lack of consensus on a federal level between the German provinces, but we have given out information as soon as possible.
All right, but then let me throw it back to you again then. Why was the EU so powerless in this case? What does it need to do in the future for the next crisis?
We have to learn something from this crisis, which has been the worst for the past 30 years. We have to learn from it in terms of the member states, notably Germany and the European Union, in order to know how to react better in the future should a crisis like this occur again.
Okay, José Ángel, let me ask you then, what needs to be done on the European level here?
What you have to do is respond in a scientifically verifiable manner. The information must be information that's not contradicted later, because the confidence of consumers in control systems is essential. If you lose that trust, if consumers think that the authorities who monitor food security don't do it competently, then the lack of trust will take a long time to recover.
Okay, call for action. Let's go to you, George. Let's take this on to where this all started. It is believed that it started at an organic farm, and a lot of people are saying, well, organic farming is really the future, or should be the future, to more earth-friendly and healthier for people. What does that say about organic farming?
Well, I think you can't claim that one particular farming is safer than the other. All farming needs to abide by the rules in terms of hygiene, health rules, all the rest of it. What needs to happen now is an independent and transparent investigation into the cause of this and what went wrong. Then, once we have the facts, we take action. The last thing we need is a whole lot of knee-jerk reaction at the moment. New regulations brought in that actually don't solve the problem.
Okay. All right, thanks, George. Eric, let's go to you. Let's take it a step further here. Organic farming as being perhaps one of the elements of future farming, but how are we going to feed 9 billion people by 2050? The FAO says that we have to double production between now and then to feed, because we already have 1 billion people who are hungry.
Indeed, it's a big challenge for the future. I don't know if conventional or biological agriculture will be able to provide those needs. It's a very important element. We have to think carefully about conditions in which we can feed 9 or 10 billion people, while still respecting the consumer's health and the environment.
Okay, Jose Angel, let's go to you. One aspect of this about increasing production is genetically modified crops. What's your take on that? Do you think we need those in order to meet all those demands for higher production in the next few decades?
GM products are questioned by the public, meaning a significant section of them are against the use of GM products. From our point of view, from the viewpoint of the consumer, the decision not to eat GM products must be respected, in the same way we respect the decision of certain religions not to eat certain products. There are Europeans who don't want to eat GMOs. This must be respected.
Okay, George, what about cloning? That's the same thing about increasing production. We need cows that make more milk, don't we?
Well, the fundamental challenge that faces us all is how to develop more sustainable production systems that are more carbon efficient, more resource efficient, and deliver greater yields while reducing the amount of inputs we need. That's the big challenge. A lot of these new technologies are going to be needed to achieve that and meet the challenge of feeding this extra world population.
Eric, one possibility is if we don't increase production, the prices are going to go up. Do you think maybe that's a way to do it, rationing by price, forcing people to change their diets?
It's true that in Europe agricultural products are not always sold at the right price. But we can be sure that in years to come agricultural prices are going to increase. Even if we manage to increase production, we can't guarantee that such prices could decrease in the future.
George, one question about biofuels. How much do you blame biofuels for inflaming food prices?
I don't think there's much linkage between the two. I think we have the possibility to not only deliver food security for the world's population, but energy security, and agriculture can play a role in both. What we need to do is focus all the support systems in developing this new model of agriculture that's more sustainable, more resource efficient, and is able to deliver not only food for our customers, but fuel as well.
Okay, George, thanks. Last question to you, Eric. Let's look 20 years down the line. In context of all these issues here, do you think food is going to be as safe in 20 years, or are we going to see even more problems then?
It's true that nowadays more and more problems are surfacing due to better diagnostics in hospitals, but it is a fact that in the next 20 years, food will become more and more safe.
Okay, Eric, thanks very much. The clock's running down. We've got to go. I'd like to thank our guests, George Lyon, Eric Poudlet, and Jose Angel Olivan. I'm Chris Burns, and until next time, thanks for connecting with The Network.